So, today I want to talk about the five most common mistakes I see women making that cause them not to build the wealth they deserve. Now, some of these may sound familiar to you because we've all fallen into some of these traps before, but the good news is they're all fixable and they're just habits you developed over time, and you can undevelop them or develop habits that will serve you better. So, let's get started. Mistake number one is not knowing your net worth. Now, this is a very common thing. Most people don't know what their net worth is, man, woman, young or old. It's just something people don't pay attention to. Well, I'm here to change all that. So knowing your net worth is really, it's like knowing what your weight is. If you want to master your financial health, you need to know where you stand right now so you know what corrective action to take so you get the result that you want. So all you have to do is track all of your assets and then all of your debts, and you subtract one from the other, and that's your net worth. It's very simple to do. There are a lot of apps out there on the market that will do this for you, but I like to do it the old-fashioned way with a spreadsheet. So I was a corporate accountant for 35 years, and everything we did at work was sort of in a columnar fashion by month. And doing things on a monthly basis, tracking it like that, it really helps you spot trends. So you can see, hopefully, your assets keep growing and your debts keep going down. That's the magic sauce in building wealth. So I have a very simple spreadsheet I'm happy to share with you. And it's also a really good exercise to log into all of your accounts and make sure that you can. Because with our assets, it's really easy to lose track of things over time. Many people, if you're like me, you change jobs quite a few times over your career. You might have old 401k balances with companies you worked with long ago. So I would also suggest you consolidate these, but we'll talk about that in another video. So log into all the accounts, make sure that you can track, list all of your assets, what the balances are. You can go back to the beginning of the year and list them January, February, March, on and on like that, right? And then you do the same thing with your debts, and that's your net worth. So the one caveat here is the value of your primary home. A lot of financial pundits say not to include the net worth of your home. A lot of financial people say not to include the value of your primary home as part of your net worth. The reason being that you have to live somewhere. And unless you sell the house and pull the equity out, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good as far as your day-to-day living expenses go. So that is number one, is knowing your net worth. Once you know where your starting point is, then you can start to look at the numbers and analyze them and see where you can improve. We should always try to improve every month and make sure our net worth is growing. So your net worth is not about judgment. It's simply a dashboard to see where you are, and then you can take corrective action to help yourself going forward. Mistake number two is not thinking enough about the future. This, I think, is so common. People really don't seem to tie how what they're doing today will impact their tomorrow. Like, how I spend my money today means that I can't save as much for tomorrow. And this is something, I mean, I think my parents, they were so good about teaching all of us about this. They were very good savers. They were really good money managers, and it rubbed off on all seven of us children. So the future is coming, whether you're ready for it or not. And the older we get, the less time we have to take corrective action. A lot of people seem to spend money today thinking that their income will continue as it is, and that simply isn't true. Many people will lose their jobs over their career. It's happened to me a few times. But again, the older you get, the more difficult it is to find the next job. Or if you find another job, maybe you won't be making the same income. So it's not a good idea to spend up to your income at all times and assume that things will be okay from here on out. You've got to think about tomorrow. You've got to think that there will come a day when you're no longer able to work, and that day may come sooner than you're planning for it to come. So don't be caught out by this, okay? I want you to think about your future all the time. I mean, I worked in tech, and my last job, I was there about 7 years. I was so much older than everybody I worked with. Most of them were born after I graduated from college, and I felt it every day, and it was not comfortable feeling. It was a great company, great job, but I felt very uncomfortable. But it actually spurred me to saving as hard and as fast as I could, because I knew I was only going to keep getting older. That discomfort may not go away. So saving, and I don't want you to feel that you're depriving yourself today if you're choosing tomorrow, because the thing is, every dollar you spend today is a dollar you're not saving for your tomorrow. So I want you to think about you 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when you're no longer able to work. Would you still spend the money the way you are today? That's something to think about. Your future self is depending on you today. Mistake number 3 is not having saved enough money, and I know we're all guilty of this, but I think in these years, in these our 40s and 50s, we're making more than we ever have. So the opportunity is ours for the taking. And by that, I mean saving as much as you possibly can. The 401k limits go up, especially if you're over 50. And even now, if you're over 60, there's an additional catch up. So please take advantage of all of these vehicles that are available to us. The 401k is the easiest one to take advantage of since they take it right out of your paycheck. So please do that. Save as hard and as fast as you can. You will not regret it. I promise you that. So lifestyle creep is something that a lot of us fall trapped to. I will segue into mistake number 4. And mistake number 4 is that our monthly costs are too high, which cause us not to be able to save as much as we should be. So lifestyle creep, right? You're in your 50s, you make good money, you've got the job title, time to buy that BMW, right? Well, is that the best thing to do? I mean, I confess lately I was looking at Land Rovers online because I'm a huge Anglophile and I just see them in every British show that I watch. But the truth is, I took my car into the shop last week for an oil change and I walked out $2,600 later because my car needed, quite a bit of work. And I thought to myself, if this was a Land Rover instead of a Ford Edge, those repairs probably would have cost like 3 or 4 times what I paid. So then I'm like, yes, I'm in the right car. Hold on to it as long as I can. Because the truth is, I am at a point now where I don't have a mortgage and I don't have a car payment. And it brings me such comfort and such a feeling of security that I have these things. And I think in midlife, it's a time for a lot of us where we can make this huge change by downsizing our home, right? Downsize, move to a lower tax area, perhaps. It's a way that you can solve a lot of your problems in one fell swoop. And I'm not saying it's right for everybody, and maybe you can't do it right now. But I moved from high tax New Jersey to low tax Delaware. And I tell you, my property tax bill, when I got the first annual bill, I giggled because my annual bill here was like $1,200, and that's what I paid in a month in New Jersey. And I moved to a 55 plus community down here, and there were a couple of others from New Jersey, and we were all like high-fiving each other, like, can you believe it? Right? So there are ways you can impact your monthly costs, quite dramatically. And it's something to think about. Maybe this isn't something you can do today or this year, but maybe within 5 years, you can do this. Again, it's one quick way you can pull equity out of the big house and pay off the new house and have low property taxes and just live the dream. So the point of this is that for most of us, it's not an income problem. It's a spending problem. It's an outflow problem. And you should do the best you can to stem the outflow so that you have money to save for your future. Because a lot of the things we're spending money on today are things really of low value, if you think about it. I mean, if you were to download your spending from your credit card and your bank account over the last 60 to 90 days, and you say, I spent how much on eating out, how much at DoorDash, how much on these things, that you don't even remember all these meals that you ate, right? So things like that, try to make them special occasion, once a week kind of things, not 3 or 4 times a week. All right. Moving on to mistake number 5, and that is an over-reliance on third-party financial people. By that, I mean financial planners or perhaps your tax preparer. And what I'm trying to say here is that don't assume that because you've hired this professional that the burden's off you, you're taken care of because they have your best interests at heart. I am not saying don't use financial planners, but I will say that make sure you understand what they're doing. Make sure you understand the investments they're putting you in. And, I would say I'm not a financial planner. I don't understand things like annuities all that well, but um, my spidey sense tells me that if it is a vehicle where the financial planner makes a big fat commission off it, I'm suspicious of that, right? So just make sure you understand it. I would never invest in crypto because I don't understand it. You don't have to be an investing whiz to win with your money. Simple index funds are probably good enough for most of us, right? And you don't really have to understand high finance, or you don't have to worry about, what's going on in the stock market that week. You really don't. People focus on that and maybe use it as an excuse not to keep investing because they say, oh, the stock market's going to go down this year. Well, if you were to look at the Dow Jones, where it has been every year over the past 3 decades of your working career, it has been a steady march up. Yes, it goes up. Yes, it goes down. But over the long term, it keeps going up. There's just no two ways about it. So saving for your tomorrow is so important. So what I want you to walk away with is that if you're not where you should be financially, you're not alone. They say that if you say you're 50 years old and you make about 150 a year, you should have a net worth of about $1 million at this point. So do you? Where are you? Until you take a look at your numbers, you'll never know where you are or how far off you are from your target. And I'm here to tell you that life will continue to throw surprises at you. And money is a great way to soothe life's rough edges. Okay. It doesn't solve all the problems. It will not solve all of your problems, but it will certainly help soothe the rough edges. I just want to reiterate that no one is coming to save you, right? If you're like me, you're single. If you're like me, you don't have a pension. So act accordingly. Not having a pension is not a surprise to me. I knew this my entire career. In my case, I decided that investing in real estate was going to be my solution. I wanted to have 10 houses paid off and I would get an income stream from each. Done. So that is what I set out to do. And it's easy to just say, well, my boss, or well, the economy, or well, whoever's in the White House. But excuses don't serve you. They really don't. Just you will have the best chance of success for yourself if you take responsibility for yourself. And that shouldn't scare you because it's not a scary thing. I think managing money, it's it's a skill, but it's also mostly simply your habits. It's a habit to save 15% of your pay. It's a habit not to eat out all the time. It's a habit just to be mindful of where your money is and where it's going. So if you would like to chat about this, I would love to chat with you because I feel very passionate about helping single women make sure that they're on the right path and they can have the future of their dreams. So drop me a line and I would love to chat. Bye for now.